Okay, welcome everyone. I hope you guys can hear me loud and clear. I apologize with the wait. I was just waiting for people to be looking at my Instagram story and my notifications that I've sent out that I am live. I hope you guys understand the wait for that. We will wait for a little bit more viewers here. Hey, welcome Joel. See that you've joined us as per usual here. All right. Let's see. Okay, and I hope everyone had a fantastic day today. All right, Joel, we have our first recommendation there. Thank you. We'll make sure I go over Apple first, or after I do my market analysis here for you all. Okay, so let's start. All right, so what I have open right now is a chart of futures, or specifically SPY futures. Now this is the E-mini futures. So this is a, if you're wondering what mini is, it just means that contracts are a bit less expensive when you're trading futures, and I'm not gonna go into detail into that because I tried trading futures a while ago and I completely failed, and I just realized futures was not for me. So I don't have any right to describe exactly what futures is, but I do know that overall, and basically what I do with futures, that I look at it as an overall sentiment on what the next day's trading will be. Okay, so it's good to kind of see here and there, watching futures overnight, how the market is doing overnight, because it just can give you a kind of a good insight on how the market would open, where the market could open, and etc. So with that in mind, let's take a look at futures. So on futures, we have gone below, okay, this 10 SMA here on the daily time frame. Right, and that was kind of expected because we rejected off of this descending resistance line here. So what that's telling me is that this officially has become a level of resistance that, we've been following ever since, me and my C.F.O Single Watch subscribers. But today was actually a really good confirmation. Why? Well, because we tried to go above it. Okay, and it'll be a little bit more apparent on the SPY chart since features a little bit different. But if I were to draw the descending level of resistance like this, as shown on my SPY chart, you can obviously tell that as we're trying to push up above this, I would say 4,365-ish level is what I was saying. We weren't able to hold, especially today at the start of trading this week, and we continue to go lower. So this tells me that there is a huge level of sellers at this descending level of resistance. Now, let's take a look at SPY. So SPY obviously looks familiar since futures is basically parallel and to SPY and vice versa. So what I'm going to expect tomorrow is that we're going to see a little bit of a push downward to the 10 SMA, all right, and then a small bounce back up of the 10 SMA, maybe end up as a small doji candlestick or a small hammer candlestick with low volume, right? And so, if that comes, transpires tomorrow, and what I just said is true, we should be able to see come Wednesday a little more bounce back above this level of resistance around 435.20-ish, okay, or maybe even 0.10, and we can see another revisit of this descending level of resistance, because at some point we will have to go back above this level of resistance because we are really trying to get it back above. How do I know? Well, we're revisiting multiple times here, right? And so maybe the third time, like the third golden touch rule, is what's going to push this price back to the top. So that's kind of my analysis for SPY, and here's the kind of the levels that you guys have to be watching out for tomorrow as well. So the key level that I was watching for today to hold was 435. Now, all of you guys should know by now, we did not end up above 435 as we sold into the close with lower volume though. Lower volume on the bigger time frames here, since I'm looking at the 2-hour time frames. And if you check the 4-hour time frame, it's still the same. Okay, compared to all the selling that we saw the prior weeks, right, and to close. So it's relatively smaller volume, which is good, right? That means sellers are choosing to sell out, sell short the SPY here, overall market here, less, right? And that's always good for people who are bullish like me for the long term. So now we have earnings coming up. Okay, and banks are kicking off earnings season for the third quarter here. And I believe JP Morgan is going to be announcing first, if I looked at my earnings calendar correctly. But whatever, I don't mind that for now. But with also, CPI numbers, Consumer Price Index numbers coming out on Wednesday. All right. That's basically telling us what inflation is going to be at currently, okay? And obviously, everyone in the U.S. should know by now, inflation has been hitting every single thing that we want to buy, right? What we want to eat, what we need, or what we want, right? And so, I honestly think that we wouldn't be. I don't think the market will be too spooked at the idea that we're going to have most likely another high CPI number telling us that, well, yeah, inflation is here, right? We've been having high prices, for the past 3 to 5 months, and the CPI numbers that we've been seeing, right, as they're coming out back in, I believe, was it July? I believe July, if I remember correctly. That was another quote unquote surprise, right? Even if most of Americans are feeling this increase in price, including me. So, I think with this inflation, I would probably think commodities is a good play there. Just the regular commodities, gold and silver, but I am going to be doing a little bit more in-depth thesis for my C.F.O Swinger Watch subscribers. So I can't say that right now publicly to everyone, since that's going to be unfair to my subscribers. Anyway, yes. So for SPY tomorrow, look for a revisit back to 435. If you don't hold 435 and reject off of it, at the very least, assume that there's going to be more downside, right? How do I know we can see some more sellers coming to 435 if we do reject? Well, take a look at what happened here when we chopped, right? We went up, down, and up until we busted through, okay? So, but here's the thing, right? Even if there's sellers here, you just have to remind yourself that we did break out above 435. Right, and now we're just kind of retesting 435. We obviously didn't, if we closed below 433 or 434, if you reach all day there, right, that will, give me more of a confidence towards the bears, right, to the sellers, that we're gonna continue to head lower once again, maybe back down to 427, right? But what gives me confidence for the bulls is that we broke out above this pretty critical and crucial level of resistance the past week, and we broke above it, and also we broke above this descending level of resistance. But obviously, since we came back down and now we're back inside this pattern again, back below this descending level of resistance, and we filled the gap today that we made, I believe 2 trading days ago, right? Even if we have these contingencies here, right, that have happened and elapsed here, we should be seeing, all right, we still should be seeing some bulls coming back in, All right, and also with the lower selling volume every single day. Okay, so with the sell-off, even if the candle is very, very ugly, we're still seeing lower selling volume. All I have to see, like I said last week when I was doing my lives, I just need to see a lot more volume pops like this right here, for instance, right, for the buyers, right, because all I'm still seeing for now is at the top here, people are selling. Okay, and for now, the selling is sort of subsiding here, but I do not see any bulls buying. Okay, so I'm going to be watching out for any big volume orders, especially institutional orders, with their block orders and etc. But right now, I just want to see that bullish volume coming in. Okay, so make sure you guys are watching out for these levels tomorrow, and keep make sure you draw a line of this decent level resistance on your SPY charts, especially on the daily time frame. But if you guys want to get a little bit more into detail, obviously go down to the smaller time frames, 2 hour. I recommend a 2 hour, 4 hour, or maybe even the 30 minutes, or even the 15 minutes, right, if you want to look at and see more data from the candlesticks. Okay, so that is it for what transpired today over on SPY. And let me check futures one more time here. So we are seeing some considerable bounce, not enough yet. So once 12 or 1 a.m. comes by, I'll be looking to see a significant reversal or maybe a continuation of the slide downward. Because and you might be wondering why 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. Well, because I just noticed that that's a pattern. Significant moves happen around 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. Obviously, I don't know how futures works. I don't know what causes that, so I don't have a specific reason. But I do believe, I don't know if I'm right or wrong on this, since I'm not a futures player once again. So I'm trying to remind you here, you guys. Asterisk there. Put that asterisk. I did not play futures, so I don't know why futures starts moving, especially for U.S. Futures here. Well, I guess you're saying North American futures. Why they move at 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. But I think it's due to the opening of the European or the Asian markets. Okay. All right. So, Joel, let's look at Apple. So you've been asking about Apple on the C.F.O Discord as well, and I hope my insight throughout the day was pretty good, because I think I believe. When I was watching Apple here, when you asked me about it, was like right around here, right? So the first 15-minute candlestick, I think you asked me here, and I was like, it could bust out, right, above 143.50 and eventually 144, which it did, right? But we were already, I think we're on this second candlestick here, if I'm not mistaken, but doesn't really matter now, right? But since Apple is, it's fair to say that Apple follows SPY because of the fact that Apple has so much weight in SPY, right? SPY Holdings has a lot of Apple, right? So that's why Apple has a lot of weight on SPY. So that means Apple's going to basically follow SPY, and it's something that you guys should be noticing by now if you guys have been following SPY and Apple parallelly. So with Apple, okay, we are seeing. All right, so first of all, right, we've gapped down today on Apple. We filled in the gap that we made right here, which is always a good sign. All right, and we didn't come right back down to fill in that gap once again, even though it's been fulfilled, right? So today, I think it was good action. If we come back down tomorrow, though, back to 141.80ish or maybe around 142. Okay, expect a double bottom bounce here. All right, why? Well, because that will also mean on the 15-minute time frame, the 200 SMA, the 200 SMA and the 50 SMA. Okay, just to get this out of the way, I use them as major areas of support or major areas of resistance where prices can either bounce or reject, respectively. Okay, on any time frame. Right, from here on out, just remember that. Right, whenever I mention 50 SMA or 200 SMA on any time frame. Okay, so on Apple here, the 200 SMA here, right, will be about around maybe 142 by then. If prices come back down and fall back down to 142, which should provide ample enough support, especially since it's around a whole number level here, and for the fact that we bounced on the 200 SMA today as well. So it's going to have a second proof test, I guess you would say, that the 200 is going to be proving that it's going to be a solid area of support that it can bounce off of, and it's going to be converging with this whole number area of a price level of around 142. Okay, so that's our major area of support. Now, if I'm being a little too gloomy here about Apple's price movements tomorrow, we can see another revisit around 142.50, which is not too far off from where it closed off. It's around a 30 cent move, all right, or maybe even less. But if we go back down to 142.50, expect another bounce. Why? Well, we had one right here, right? I mean, you just have to look at the data, right? And also, we had another bouncer after that big gap up 2 trading days ago, okay, which was last Thursday, and we bounced on top of it, which is around 142.72, which is the low of the day of this candlestick, which is also close to 142.50, right? So, if you want a little bit more of a hopeful outlook for me, I would say 142.54 is a great area to get in, especially if you see a confirmation of a bounce first, and then most likely heading back towards 144 and maybe into 144.50, but most likely to 144. Okay. So Joel, that is it for Apple. I hope that was a little bit clearer than what I provided you with this morning. Looks like we have more viewers. Welcome, everyone. Please go ahead and submit your tickers. Of course, let me do that for you. Jets. I apologize about the silence. I was actually looking over through my list of stocks that I kind of want to go over as well, which I'll be doing in a few more minutes after I do this for you. Jets. So, every single airliner had. Will it trend more? Do you mean will it uptrend more? I'm sure you're asking me about that. Obviously, just testing you there. Okay, so Jets. Let me answer your question first, right? Do you think it's going to uptrend more? Yes. Why? Well, I mean, we haven't seen anything here where I specifically don't see anything where we've broken the trend yet. Why? Well, because we broke out above 22.50 and we're still above 22.50, and as we're breaking up to the upside, okay, we're seeing this chop, right? However, whenever I look for a nice breakout, and when that breakout happens, I first look for a retest of the 10 SMA, and then second, I look for a retest of the 21 SMA. And remember, the 10 and 21 SMAs are my momentum SMAs. Right? And they're going to dictate whether or not in the next few days or next few weeks the trend is still going to hold, right? And so it looks like we can have a possible retest of the 21 SMA tomorrow, right? And if we bounce off of it strongly, that will give me confidence, 100% confidence that we could see a potential continuation of the upside, right? And so that is your answer to your to that question there, right? Okay, so with Jets, if I'm to play the devil's advocate here, basically, right? We can see most likely, I would say a retest of 23.50. However, that will make me lose a bit of confidence that Jets will, potentially lose its uptrend. Why? Well, because we already revisited. Okay, we already retested after the initial breakout. Okay, and if you have another second retest after a nice breakout, that just tells me buyers are not strong enough to continue this uptrend, right? I mean, think about it. Why would you want to come back to that same breakout point again, twice, when you already came back the first time? Now, just telling you that you guys don't, that the buyers are, if I'm talking in a first person perspective here, I and myself, myself and other buyers do not have the enough steam, right, to bid up the price and stay away from sellers hitting the price right back to the area or point of resistance, where we broke out of resistance, where other sellers are currently residing. Right, so look at it in the perspective like that, and you will see that the whole game will change for you. All right, think of it in a person-to-person interaction. Right, one group isn't buying, one group isn't selling. Okay, and you have to think of yourself in both positions when you're looking at specific, significant price levels. Does that make sense? Please give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Okay, perfect. So, if that makes sense, all I need to see, okay, is a possible retest to around 23.70-ish, which would also be around the 21 SMA when it catches up tomorrow, okay, since right now it's at 23.64. That's only, that's only a 6 to 7 point move. Right? I mean, it's not too far. Okay, but obviously this is a very low beta name. It only moves, average 30 cents a day, right? For something like that. So that's something that could be achieved, very quickly tomorrow for the 21 SMA. But Joel, here's the thing though. All right. So if you guys didn't know what news came out today, LUV, Southwest, they canceled over 2,000 flights over the weekend. And I know a personal friend of mine, ex-roommate, who I was actually grounded for a day, and they had to completely reschedule everyone's, flights. Okay, and that really got me wondering what will happen to airlines today. And well, voila, look what we had today. A bunch of selling going into all airlines, right? AAL, Airlines, all the 4 major airlines, right? So we have AAL, okay, which we already have, oops, okay. We have Delta, okay, and we have United, all right, and then we have Southwest. All right, so those are the 4 major airlines that you should be watching out for, especially all the airlines that come out that are based in the US, right? The private airline companies. Okay, so we have once again, AAL. Okay, let me just write it here for you guys. Oops. UAL, DAL, and LUF. Okay, so there's 4 major airline names that you should be watching out for. Okay, and if you guys are wondering what JETS is, well, that's just basically the ETF of, of all the airlines, right? How many, it's basically tracking how many planes, are being used and boarded. Is what I would kind of use it as a sentiment, since it is an ETF, right? But yeah. Joe, do you have any more questions on JETS? I'm just saying it's going to be a pretty rocky movement back if it's going to continue the upside movement here back towards 25, to be honest. So if you're looking to try to play this name, I would say avoid the volatility, but if you're good with volatility, that's completely fine. Just watch out for that bounce, potential bounce tomorrow around 23.70. If not, we're completely going to revisit 23.50 again. All right, with this increased selling volume that we saw today as well, this can be a little bit detrimental to all airline stocks for the next few days and to next week as well. But I would say since this news came out this morning, I believe, and I was given word that the planes were grounded yesterday, thanks to my friend. This made me wonder what it would do today, and obviously, I didn't really have to wonder, but with negative news like that, obviously there's gonna be negative price reaction. But yes, um, but yeah, so good, Joe, good. You're welcome. You're welcome. If you guys are hearing me well, please give me a thumbs up as well. Because currently right now, I don't know if my Wi-Fi is stable or any of my connections are stable because of the fact that there's a huge windstorm happening outside the house here. So I hope everyone's able to hear me pretty well. Okay. And oh, perfect. Okay, so I do want to go over a name that I've been looking at. Okay, and I remember what I told you guys about commodities when I first started the stream here. Let's look at gold. Okay, so gold is something that has been doing pretty well. Okay, if you take a look at, if you take a look at the weekly time frame here. Oh, welcome, Sean. Welcome. Glad to see you back. Gold is making a huge cup and handle base pattern here. Okay, so even the handle itself is making a nice, descending channel here. I would say it's kind of a weird descending channel, obviously, since we have this descending support trend line kind of moving outwardly instead of the straight line that's parallel to the descending level of resistance. But never mind that, it's still a descending channel here. But gold is something that I think I want all of you guys to watch out for. Well, because of the fact that we have inflation numbers coming out, consumer price index, which I also will say again to all the new viewers here, that I don't think it's going to be too much of a surprise when the CPI numbers are announced. But obviously, the markets tend to overreact every single time there's some sort of bad news, even if the bad news have been repeated a couple of times already, right? And even if investors, traders are all already know that prices are high, right? We can see it in food, products, services, etc., right? So, that's going to be something that I will be watching out for on Wednesday, and I will most likely go over on Wednesday on my live as well on the same time. All right, now with gold, I'm expecting a nice bullish run tomorrow, actually. All right, even if we did end up a little bit bearish on Friday, okay, I like this jump right here. Okay, this 3-point jump move from Thursday to Friday. And Monday, we got a low volume sell-off because, well, gold was kind of falling SPY here at the end of the day. Throughout the day, we saw a little bump and then that sell-off, right? As we we're heading into lunch and etc. and into the closing bell. So, with gold, I think we can see a nice break above 164 again, hold above 164, and potentially head back towards 170. And eventually, if we break above 170, we should see a nice break up towards 171.50. All right, gold is one of those conventional safe haven names that you want to be in. People buy physical gold, especially when when things are looking bleak and the overall economy and the overall markets and etc. Right, those are all connected. So it's something that you guys should all be watching out for, especially with inflation, because inflation can hurt the economy. Okay, and if you're wanting to think, trying to think, how do we stop this inflation? We might need to increase interest rates so you can stop spending more. Right? It's basic economics, right? So If you guys understand that, just message me, DM me. I'll make sure it's clear for you guys. But yeah, okay. So that's kind of want to go over for you guys. Facebook, Sean. Okay. Facebook. I was actually looking at this today. Pretty interesting action. So Facebook, I've told myself and others, including even my own sister, who was actually looking at Facebook and looking to buy the dip. I don't know where she got that term from. She's not a stock person, but whatever. I'll leave it as is. I won't question her. Facebook, I did tell her that I am going to be expecting more downside movement. Where? Until where? Well, until we hit this daily 200 SMA. Right? So, or around 315.50, or I can just say 315.50-ish to 316.50-ish. Okay? So, if you guys want that in whole numbers, just say 315 to 317, okay? Or 316, it doesn't really matter. You guys get the idea, right? So why am I saying that? Well, same thing again. Two technical points are converging, right? We have a immediate level support around 315.50, and we also have a converging point with the 200 SMA near this price level. So what does that tell me? We can see potential buying coming in at this level. Currently, do I see enough buying coming in? No. Why? Because if you look at the past uptrend that we had, this monster uptrend that we had, we did not see enough support building up around this specific area, around 315 to around 328-ish. Okay, so this just tells me, right, on the daily time frame, on the bigger picture, we do not have enough support. But obviously, if we go down to the smaller time frames, maybe we're going to get a bounce. Where? Well, let me tell you where. 322.70-ish, right? Or if you want to round it up again, 323. So tomorrow, if you kind of have a morning sell-off and then a late bounce into market open, you can most likely see a bounce at 323, where it can actually be considered a double bottom bounce. Okay? As the price starts doing this, now bam, 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 and etc. Right? So it's obviously, don't really pay attention to my crude drawings. Just showing you what I'm thinking inside my head by physically drawing it out. But that's basically what I'm going to be thinking, right? Immediate support. Well, intraday support, I have to remind you guys, right? That's not the overall daily bigger picture support. Will be around 322.70 or $323. And if you're able to bounce off of it, you're going to be met. Okay, you are definitely going to be met with resistance around 325.80-ish or maybe even 326 if you want to round it up. And if we're able to break above that, we should see another revisit back to 328, which was actually our break point today. Okay, to the downside. Okay, that gave us confirmation when we rejected off of 328 that we could continue to go down and giving leeway for sellers to start selling and shorting the name from that point on. Okay. I hope that makes sense, Sean. Please give me a thumbs up for confirmation. If you have any questions, please ask away on FB. If you want me to elucidate anything or clarify. Okay, perfect. My bad. The playback on this is kind of slow. I don't know how long it is, but when you actually type live, right, at your time, and then the time that it takes to get to me, it was probably around maximum 30 seconds or half a minute there. So I apologize if I take kind of long time to see your message and respond to it as well. Okay. So, MU. So there's another one of those few names. semiconductor names that are taking a beating. So, MU. I did talk about this in my previous lives, but I haven't revisited this yet lately because I didn't see a setup for me. But overall, let's look at the bigger picture first. We are making a huge flag just like any other major semiconductor name right now, like AMD, which I will look over once I'm finished with this. But MU here, nice flag, right? I mean, I have to say, it's a pretty nice flag. Okay, but currently right now we're forming a descending triangle here. All right, if you're trying to take a look at it from a bearish point of view, all right, on the bigger time frame. But on the daily time frame, okay, you can also argue that we are seeing a nice descending channel, right? So for now, you just have to look at the price, the current price levels that are important to you currently right now, and not kind of look at the big picture for now, right? Since we have conflicting chart patterns on the bigger time frames, the daily and the weekly. So that's what I advise you guys to do if you guys ever have conflicting charts that are telling you one thing and is telling you, and there's another chart that's telling you the other thing on a different time frame. All right, so that's a little bit of a tip for you guys. So with that in mind, so obviously keep that in the back of your head, since you want to keep that in the back of your head. Let's take a look at this. So I did say, I do remember looking at this, I made a support right here around 70, right? I said if we lose 70, okay, we're going to see some chop around 68 to 69. Okay, most likely 68 to 70. Again, let me repeat myself there. But if we lose exactly, okay, 68.70-ish, or if you want to round it up again, 69 here, okay, we can see a huge flush. Why? Take a look at how we blasted up straight through this huge base that we're making here. Okay, from April, or actually, yeah, April 2018 here. I would say it's April 2018, all the way to late October 2020, right? And then at the start of November, we started to roll, right? We started to steamroll, absolutely steamroll through the levels of resistances. And as you guys can see, after this huge impulsive move, we did not see any solid support forming. So if the Armageddon happens for all these semiconductor stocks, and MU specifically decides to lose 69 here, we can see a full breakdown all the way to 64.50, and the next line in the sand, right, will be around 59.50. Why is this a line in the sand? Well, because that was our first gap up that we did not fill, right, in this uptrend. So this tells me that if we come back down to 59.50 and we indeed fill the gap and continue to head lower, that's going to tell me that MU's uptrend is done for the long term. Okay, obviously right now we're seeing signs, and we're getting confirmational signs that with this uptrend right here that we made can be over soon. Why? Because we got the daily death cross of the 50 and the 200, right? So the 50 once again is my dark blue line here, and the 200 is my yellow line here, right? So we had a death cross here, which is telling me that in the long term, MU is going to continue to go lower. And what have we been doing so far? Going lower, right? So 59.50, line in the sand, major line in the sand. The next available support that we have, if we break below 69, will be 64.50. Okay, so obviously there are supports, which means there are also potential levels that you guys should be watching out for a potential bounce. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, right? We put the 2 and 2 together. So expect a bounce tomorrow if we see a bounce in the overall markets, especially in the semiconductor sector. Okay, so let's take a look at AMD as well. So AMD, obviously, looking a lot stronger. Why? Well, because we are staying near levels of resistances, especially this descending level of resistance, right? And we're seeing that AMD is kind of following closely with the markets, right? Except, obviously, AMD is still in an uptrend. Why? Because we haven't fully destroyed this huge uptrend that we made, right? So, what I'm going to be looking out for AMD though, okay? There's one thing that's telling me that AMD is going to go lower. This 10 SMA is calling downward. All right, so whenever I start to see a 10 SMA calling downward, I will say the next short-term days, next 5 to 10 days, it's going to be lower, right? Somewhere the average price that we end up with, if we have a time range of 5 to 10 days, we're gonna have a lower price than current prices right now, right? So this tells me that we can see another rejection that we saw, obviously today, at this descending trend line of resistance, all right? And then maybe, just maybe, revisit 102.80-ish or round it up again, 103, right? So let's make it a little bit more visible for you guys. I can even move it to 103. That's around there, okay? And so if we come back down and revisit 103, we should see a bounce and maybe a retest of this descending trend line of resistance. Okay, but overall, AMD, another semiconductor name, making a great flag, bull flag, way better than MU here, since we don't have conflicting bigger picture time frames here, chart patterns on different time frames, excuse me. So AMD I like a lot better than MU. Okay, and also AMD trades a lot better price action wise than MU. How do I know? Because I'm more comfortable with how AMD works and how the prices move compared to MU. Okay. So Sean, I hope that was very insightful and helpful. I hope you use these levels tomorrow and for the rest of the week, pending how they do, obviously. Okay, so that is it for today. I will not be doing any more take your share for the night. I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this live as usual, and I really thank you all for attending, especially the ones who are concurrently coming in. Really thankful, especially Sean and Joel here. You guys are superstars here at the live. You guys are basically providing me and giving me the stuff that I need to continue these lives. So thank you really for joining my lives, and I believe both of you guys have been joining my lives ever since I was on Instagram doing my lives as well. All right, so I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching every single time I do my lives. I know you guys are taking time out of your nightly routines and nightly schedules and etc. So thank you very much for attending. Okay, so I will see everyone on Wednesday, same time, right? 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll make sure to notify you guys all, as always. But just making sure that you guys remember the times. And I did do a poll on my Instagram story here, whether or not people want to do lives, wanted to see me do my lives Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday and Wednesday only, right? So every other day or just Monday and Wednesday, right? And it seems like it's 50-50 right now, so I will post the results tomorrow when they're finished, when I deem them to be finished. So yeah, watch out for that on my Instagram story. All right, thank you all for joining. Thank you, Sean and Joel there. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the night as well. I'll see you guys all on Wednesday. Make sure you guys leave a like on this stream.